All the characters in the story are over 18 years old. I should have anticipated this. I was aware that my sister spent a great deal of time with her friend Audrey. I was not pleased about it. Audrey was divorced and had a very carefree lifestyle as far as I could tell. She was constantly changing boyfriends, and I was unable to keep up with her. All the characters in the story are over 18 years old. I should have foreseen this. I was aware that my sister spent a lot of time with her friend Audrey. I wasn't fond of it, but I didn't try to dissuade them. I didn't like her, but I couldn't justify trying to stop them. Looking back, I think maybe it was a mistake. I don't know. All I know is that she was instrumental in convincing my sister to rip out my heart. Linda and I have been together for 17 years. We had a daughter who was 15 years old, and our son was 2 years younger. We lived as most suburban families do. Linda worked in a doctor's office, and I was quite successful in selling computer programs. We had a nice house, 2 nice cars, and a wonderful family life. The first sign that Linda didn't quite share my utopian view of things came to me when I came home one Friday night and saw her and Audrey sitting at the kitchen table. Audrey looked as smug as ever, but I thought Linda looked a little worried. It didn't take a genius to figure out that something was wrong. A situation has occurred. "Hello," Linda said, greeting me warmly. I replied, setting down my briefcase. I looked at Audrey and greeted her with a simple hello. "I'm going to run upstairs and change," I said. "All right, dear. Would you like a cup of coffee?" Audrey seemed to be searching for words. "I have something we'd like to discuss with you when you return. Would you mind if we spoke at that time?" I'm not sure. Why don't you go up and change, dear? I'll pour you some coffee, and we can converse upon your return." "Very well. I'll go up and change, and we can talk upon my return." I looked into her eyes, searching for any indication of her thoughts. I looked into her eyes, searching for any indication of the significance of the situation. Audrey's smirk, which I noticed as I looked back, only added to my apprehension. Whatever these two were up to, it certainly wasn't going to be pleasant. As I climbed the stairs, my mind raced, anticipating the various scenarios I would encounter upon my return. However, none of these predictions prepared me for what I actually experienced. After changing out of my suit and tie into more casual attire, my coffee was ready. Upon returning to the kitchen, I found Audrey engaged in lively conversation at the table in front of my chair. Her voice was barely audible, as if she was instructing my sister on a matter of significance. They did not appear to notice my presence until I was positioned on the opposite side of the table. They did not notice my presence until I sat down, took a sip of coffee, and looked at them. I inquired about the situation and the significance of their actions. Linda hesitated and froze for a moment, not saying a word, until Audrey prompted her. "She informed my wife that he loves you and will understand." Linda lowered her eyes as if she could not look at my face. "Dear, please don't get me wrong, but I want to go on a few dates with Audrey, not all the time," she said, "just from time to time." I wasn't sure I understood what she meant by dating. Whatever she means, the answer is no, but I couldn't believe she was. I inquired about the nature of her relationship with Audrey, to which she replied that it was merely casual and not a frequent occurrence. I realized that I had misunderstood the definition of dating. I clarified my understanding, stating, "What do you mean by dating?" Audrey then interjected, stating that she was going to interrupt me by saying that she was talking to her sister, but decided to let her finish. I realized that I had misinterpreted the situation. Audrey interjected. I was going to interrupt her by saying that I was talking to my sister, but I decided to let her talk. I knew it wasn't my wife's idea. Audrey's name was written on it, but I wanted to see if I could figure out how she persuaded Linda to go with her. Audrey continued, "It's just a date. It doesn't mean anything. We were talking, and she told me that besides you, she's only had one man in her entire life." Robert interjected, "I should have clarified what I mean by dating well. It wasn't my wife's idea. Audrey's name was written on it, but I wanted to see if I could figure out how she persuaded Linda to go with her." She continued, "It's just a date. It doesn't mean anything. We were talking, And she told me that besides you, she's only had one man in her entire life. This is ridiculous, Robert. I'm sure you've had a lot more women. She needs to go out and have some fun. I looked back at my wife. Linda finally looked at me. I tried to hide the pain on my face, but I don't think I was doing very well, honey. I didn't say that, Audrey replied. This is absurd, Robert. I'm sure you've had many more opportunities. She needs to go out and have some fun. I looked back at my wife, Linda, who finally looked at me. I attempted to hide the pain on my face, but I wasn't successful. Honey, I didn't say that, Audrey replied. She led Linda away again. However, men have different approaches. It's just variety. There are many men who love their wives enough to let them go out and have some fun. It doesn't mean anything. Robert, Linda, and I discussed it and decided it was only fair to. Robert and I discussed the matter, and we agreed that it would be appropriate for you to take a step back for a while if you so desired. I looked back at Linda. I'm not sure if it was fear or regret, but I think she started to feel like it was a big mistake. I see, I said decisively. I felt tears welling up in my eyes, but I was determined to hold them back. Audrey, could you stay here for a while? I'd like to discuss this in more detail when I return. I got up from my chair. She replied with a triumphant expression on her face. I'm sure she thought she had caught me. Where are you going, Linda? Audrey, could you kindly stay here for a while? I'd like to discuss this matter in more detail when I return. I rose from my chair. She replied with a triumphant expression on her face. I'm sure she thought she had caught me. Where are you going? She asked, finally speaking again. I'll be back in a while, I replied, but I didn't answer her question. I went into my home office and closed the door. Since childhood, I have always taken a serious approach to life. I'm not saying that I don't like having fun. I can have fun with the best of them, and I have a great sense of I replied, I'll be back in a bit. I didn't answer her question. I went into my home office and closed the door. I've always taken a serious approach to life. I don't mean that I don't like having fun. I can have fun with the best of them, and I have a great sense of humor. However, when it comes to serious issues, I believe in meeting them face to face. I was fighting back tears when I sat down at my computer and started typing my response to Linda's proposal. Dear Linda, I never thought that I would be so hurt by the woman I loved with all my heart for so many years. But when you informed me of your intentions to make love outside of our marriage, you broke my heart. I know your friend Audrey is behind this, but your willingness to go along with her plan has already damaged our relationship and our marriage. Just to be absolutely, I would like to be clear about my position regarding your alleged infidelity. I categorically declare that I will consider any relationship of any kind with a man or woman as a betrayal and violation of our wedding vows. If you ignore my feelings on this matter and continue your search, this is what will happen on Monday morning. I will immediately file for divorce. I will contact our parents and everyone we know to inform them of our upcoming divorce and explain exactly why I took the actions I did. I will sit down with the children and explain the reasons why we are getting a divorce. We are currently in the process of divorcing each other. I am willing to do whatever it takes to expose your romantic relationships. If you are married, I will inform your spouse. I will not show any mercy or sympathy. Make sure they are aware of this before putting them and their families in danger. Once the divorce process begins, there will be no turning back. We will always be connected through our children, but I will sever all emotional ties with you and start rebuilding my life without you. If you have a choice, the above are the consequences if you have decided to pursue an extramarital relationship. However, if you choose to maintain this marriage, there will be certain conditions. As I previously mentioned, disclosing your intentions has caused me significant emotional distress. At this time, I am uncertain whether I can forgive you or repair the damage to our marriage. However, I am willing to attempt to do so, provided that you accept the following terms. Immediately sever all ties with Audrey and refrain from contacting her again until further notice. You will be required to relocate. Please proceed to the spare bedroom and rest there. You will be scheduled to consult with a physician and be evaluated for any potential illnesses. In the event that the results indicate an issue, I will initiate the divorce proceedings promptly. Kindly consent to the installation of a GPS tracking device in your vehicle, which I will access on a daily basis to address any queries regarding your whereabouts. Agree to participate in marital counseling. If you consent to my stipulations, I will endeavor to extend forgiveness. However, rebuilding my trust will require time and forbearance. At this juncture, it is imperative that you make a decision. I sincerely hope that you make a judicious choice. It is unfortunate, but I still have all my love for you, Robert. When I finished, I heard Linda and Audrey talking. I knew they had moved from the kitchen to the sofa in the living room. I wanted to hear what they were talking about, but in the end, it really didn't matter. I have taken my position, and there will be no negotiations. I addressed the envelope and a copy of the letter to our parents and our family lawyer. I filled and sealed each envelope accordingly and stamped them. Then I made 2 more copies for the accomplices. I saw both of them turn their heads in my direction. Upon departing the office, I informed them that I would return shortly. I proceeded to the front door. "It can't wait," Linda said. "Wait, we need to talk." I exited the office before she could finish her sentence. I proceeded to the corner and mailed all 3 copies of my testimony. I returned a few minutes later and approached both women seated on my couch, handing them each a copy of my statement. "What is it?" Linda asked. "You'll find my thoughts on this in your hand," I replied. I wanted to put them in black and white to make sure there were no misunderstandings. They both carefully as the letter was unfolded. I closely observed Linda's countenance. Tears immediately filled her eyes. "Come on, Linda," she said, taking her hand. "Shut up, my wife," Audrey shouted, pulling her arm out of Linda's grip. "No one, including you, will call him." As the letter was being read, Linda's face showed clear emotional distress, with tears beginning to flow. Audrey, in a state of heightened emotional response, interjected, "Stop, stop, stop," and took hold of Linda's hand. "Please be calm," my wife said firmly. "Do not use his name in my presence or in front of others." Audrey's expression conveyed a combination of surprise and dismay. The nurse continued, "I expect you to leave my house and my life immediately. I do not want to see or hear from you again." Linda stood up and took Audrey's hand, saying, "This is goodbye, Audrey." She then walked her ex. "This is goodbye. Audrey, I'm serious. I listened to you, and now my marriage is in trouble. Stay away from me." Her last words before slamming the door in Audrey's face. She turned to me with tears rolling down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. Yes, I accept your demands and whatever you say. I swear, Robert, I haven't done anything. But I'll be glad to get tested for diseases, just to please you. Please tell me that you will forgive me eventually. I know it will take time. I have no desire to get a divorce. I can't even imagine my life without you." I said I'd try, Linda. "I can't promise more than that except for one thing, one slip. If I catch you trying to satisfy your curiosity by just standing in the same room with a stranger, it's over." "No," she replied sadly. "I know it will take time to convince you, but I have no desire to ever be with anyone but you. Now, I know that I've never actually done it." That night, I helped her move her clothes into the spare bedroom. We informed the children that we had been in a physical altercation and had spent some time in separate rooms to cool off. They were initially doubtful, as evidenced by their expressions, but they eventually accepted our explanation. The following day, I purchased a GPS device for Linda's vehicle without her knowledge. I also acquired a recording device for phones. It was a simple device that simply required being connected to any phone outlet. When a call was made or received from any phone in the house, it recorded both sides of the conversation. The connection was interrupted, the recorder stopped, and I installed the device in my office and hid it behind a filing cabinet as a precaution. On Sunday, I equipped Linda's car with GPS and downloaded the software to my laptop. I was hopeful, although I was uncertain about our future together. Linda's job required her to work only 4 days a week, with days off on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. As you can imagine, I've been monitoring this GPS signal all day at work. On Monday, she went to the grocery store around 10. The vehicle never left the driveway, which was a source of concern. Upon returning home that evening, I wanted to review the phone. The children were doing their homework at the kitchen table while Linda was preparing dinner. I noticed a look of disappointment on her face when I turned my cheek to her. "Can we discuss this later tonight when the children are in bed?" she inquired quietly. My heart began pounding again. Had she changed her mind? "Yes," I replied, already feeling anxious. After dinner, I spent some time with the children, then announced that I had some things to do and retired to my office, closing the door behind me. I connected the headphones to the recorder to make sure. "Are you asleep?" she inquired quietly. My heart began beating rapidly again. Had she changed her mind? "Yes," I replied, already feeling anxious. After dinner, I spent some time with the children, then announced that I had some things to do and retired to my office, closing the door behind me. I connected the headphones to the recorder to ensure that no one but me would hear it. My heart sank when I heard the first call. It was from Audrey. "Hello, nurse," Audrey said after the second ring. "Hey, girlfriend. He's at work. Can you talk?" "Audrey, I made myself clear the other day. I don't want to talk to you. You're not my friend anymore. Get that into your head." "Come on, Linda." "Who?" I was taken aback when I received the call from Audrey. "Hello," the nurse said after the second ring. "Hey, girlfriend. He's at work. Can you talk?" Audrey replied. "Audrey, I made myself clear the other day. I don't want to talk to you. You're not my friend anymore. Get that into your head." "Come on, Linda." "Who knew Robert would take it that way? I had no intention of destroying your marriage." "I don't care, Audrey. The first condition Robert said in his letter was that I leave you as a friend, and I don't want to risk ruining everything. If you ever try to contact me again, I will tell everyone that you tried to sabotage my marriage. I'm serious. I never. I was aware that Robert would interpret it that way. I had no intention of destroying your marriage. I don't care, Audrey. The first condition Robert stated in his letter was that I leave you as a friend, and I don't want to risk ruining everything. If you ever try to contact me again, I will tell everyone that you tried to sabotage my marriage. I'm serious. I never want to talk to you again." With these words, the line ended. My heart started beating again. Maybe we have a chance. I thought the next call was for my parents. Wow, did she get this from them? "Hi," I heard Linda sigh in response. I think she thought it might be Audrey again. "Linda, I just received a very strange letter from Robert. What does it all mean? I'd like to discuss the situation with you." I'm sorry to say that my heart stopped when I received the call. Perhaps there is still a chance. I thought the next call was for my parents. I was surprised when I heard Linda sigh. I think she was thinking it might be Audrey again. "Linda, I just received a very strange letter from Robert. What does it mean?" "Oh, hi, Mom. Yes, I made a very big mistake." "Did you really tell Robert that you were going to have an affair?" "Well, not exactly." "Do you know my friend Audrey?" "She is." Before she could continue, she heard her father's voice on the phone. "Who is this? Are you talking to Linda? Give me that phone." Hi, Dad," she replied in a trembling voice. "What is wrong with you? We raised you better than that. How could you even think about that? I'm ashamed of you. We're all ashamed of you." I could hear Linda sobbing as she attempted to answer him. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know I hurt you. And Mom, I hurt Robert too. I'm so sorry." Her father heard her too. It seemed to calm him. "Please explain your actions. That is the type of environment you were raised in, and yet you have chosen to act in a way that is not aligned with our family values. I am embarrassed by your actions. We are all embarrassed by your actions." I could hear Linda sobbing as she attempted to respond to her father. "I apologize, Dad. I'm so sorry. I recognize that I have hurt you and I have hurt Robert. I apologize." I heard her cry more intensely. Her father also heard her, and his anger appeared to subside slightly. His voice was slightly calmer when he spoke again. "I don't understand what has led you to behave in this way, girl. I certainly hope you informed him that you would adhere to the established rules." He replied, "Yes, Dad. I have already severed ties with Audrey as a friend. I informed her that I did not wish to communicate with her again. I am unable to undergo medical testing for diseases at my place of work. I would be too ashamed to do so. His tone was slightly more composed as he continued. I'm unsure what has prompted your recent behavior, Linda. I sincerely hope you informed him of your commitment to adhere to the established guidelines. He confirmed this, stating that he had already conveyed his desire to end the friendship with Audrey. I informed her that I did not wish to communicate with her in the future. I am unable to undergo medical testing for certain diseases at my place of work due to the potential repercussions. However, I intend to contact the city clinic and schedule the test there. Additionally, I will endeavor to be the most devoted spouse imaginable. I recognize the immense privilege of having a second chance, and I am committed to making the most of it. They conversed for a while longer, and then her mother once again picked up the phone. By the time they concluded their discussion, all three of them were visibly emotional. This telephone conversation proved to be highly informative. The most informative call was from Linda to her grandmother. Hello, Linda. Hi, darling. I'm so glad to hear from you. How is everyone? You haven't received Robert's letter yet? A letter is everything. Is everything okay? Grandma? Well then, what's the matter, Linda? Are the children all right? Did something happen to Robert? I could hear the panic in Grandma's voice. Hello, Linda. It's great to hear from you. How are you and your family? Have you received Robert's letter yet? Is everything okay? Well then, what's the matter, Linda? Is everything okay with you and the children? Did something happen to Robert? Is he okay? No, the kids are fine. Robert is fine. Well, I did something really stupid, and it hurt our marriage. Robert threatened to divorce me. What did you do? I told him I wanted to date other men. He said, "What did you say?" I said, "I don't know. It was stupid. I let my friend fill my head with a bunch of nonsense." She is currently single and has dated various individuals. She asserts that no two relationships are identical, with some being more favorable than others. She expressed that I was missing out on a significant amount of enjoyment. She continued to speak at length, and after a while I began to pay attention to her. Linda, you're married. She's single. There's a substantial difference between the two. I understand, but she introduced me to her friend, a married woman named Betty. Betty mentioned that her husband allows her to date other individuals frequently. She stated that he deeply loves her and wants her to enjoy herself. They joined forces and attempted to persuade me that Robert would do the same because he deeply loves me. I recognized that he would never agree, but I followed their example. I never stopped thinking about how much it would hurt him. Grandma's voice sounded loud and clear. Oh, Linda, how could you? She sobbed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What happened? Did he leave you? What about the kids? No, he didn't leave me. He gave me an ultimatum. Leave the girl who persuaded me to do this and give. He issued an ultimatum. Either I relinquish my relationship with the other woman or I pursue divorce. We are also considering seeking marital counseling. He sent a letter outlining our situation. Grandma's sobs could be heard. Linda, I am at a loss for words. I never imagined you could be so heartless. I hope that, for your sake, Robert loves you as much as I think he does. If I had done something like that to Bryce, I would have rushed outside. I know Mom was crying again. I promise I will never hurt him again. I was very close to losing him, but I'm going to show him how sorry I am every day for the rest of my life. Please forgive me. Listening to them both cry made my own eyes fill with tears at about 10. At approximately 10 p.m., we ensured the children were in bed and sat down on the sofa to converse. I was still in the dark about the nature of our little conversation. I talked to our parents today. Mom and Dad got your letter, Robert, she said with a forced laugh. Dad actually read it, she said after a moment's thought. Everyone pretty much read it. Everyone is so offended and disappointed in me. Why not? I'm disappointed in myself. I just want to say again how sorry I am. She wiped the tears from her eyes and continued. One more thing. I don't want you to be angry, but I have to tell you that Audrey called, too. She probably thought I was joking when she said we weren't friends anymore. Anyway, I said it again. I told her that if she ever called me again, I would tell everyone how she tried to sabotage my marriage. She doesn't have many friends, and I don't think she's willing to risk losing the few she has. So, I doubt I'll hear from her again, although I knew all about. I was pleased that she informed me about the calls the following week. Linda wanted to get tested. To be honest, I never really believed that she had actually cheated on me. If she had, I don't think Audrey would have been able to resist confronting me. She would have blabbed. All the tests were negative, so after 3 months, I finally allowed Linda to return to our bed. At first, our lovemaking was awkward, but Linda was relentless and worked hard to regain what Audrey and her friend found benefit in marriage counseling, which allowed them to address issues with their sister. The therapist's approach involved repeated review of conversations, including those in which Betty's husband was involved. The therapist helped Betty recognize that her husband's actions were driven by his love for her. The therapist encouraged Linda to consider how any man who truly loves his wife should be able to set aside his jealousy to make her happy. It has been over a year since that after undergoing marriage counseling, Audrey and her friend were able to address her sister's concerns. Their therapist instructed them to repeat conversations, including those involving Betty's husband. The therapist explained that Betty's husband's actions were driven by his love for her. He advised that any man who truly loves his wife should be able to set aside his jealousy to make her happy. It has been over a year since that day, and I haven't had any reason to be suspicious since then. However, I still track Linda's location with GPS from time to time and check her phone calls as well. Once this seed of distrust is sown, it's hard to let go. Next month, we will celebrate Mom and Dad's 50th wedding anniversary. Reflecting on what we've been through and where we are today, I'm confident that in 31 years and 3 months, we will be doing the same thing.